Welcome to Audrey's reading area. Shout out to my grandbabies, Korea, Sanaa, David III, and Caden. I love you. I miss you guys so much. Well, all right, Alexa. What time is Audrey's reading area?
Audrey Reads in her area live at 8 o'clock p.m.
Live at 8, you guys. Live. Live at 8. All right. It's still National Women's Month. So, got a very special book that I'll be reading to you. I have put up my women of all colors because shout out to women of all colors. So, I have this book called Cool Women. Now, it has listed a lot of women in this book. I have not decided who I was gonna select to read today. I'm gonna go through it in front of you guys and select and read. Some of these people I've heard of, and some of them I have not. So this book, it says, "The Thinking Girl's Guide to the Hippest Women in History." It's edited by Pam Nelson, written by Dawn Chipman, Marie Florence, and Naomi Wax. Designed by Amy Inouye. In case I am pronouncing it wrong, here are the credits. Give credit to everybody. So, it's got a lot of cool women in this book. Lots of them. So, let's start off. Wow. There is Blues Divas, Bessie Smith, Memphis Minnie. I guess I will start off with Bessie Smith, because you guys probably have not heard of Bessie Smith. Bessie Smith. I'm going to jump in and read a little something about her. So it says, hearing Bessie Smith sing the blues was like getting hit full on by a truckload of feminine power. Audiences were stunned by the raw emotion of her performances, and it turned her into one of the most successful singers of the century. Sure, we still love Janis Joplin and Tina Turner, but we can't forget that women like Bessie Smith showed us how to rock. Wow. So, she was a singer. Strong female performer, ruled the roaring 20s, and while Mae West was tearing up the silver screen, women like Bessie Smith were packing the nightclubs. She was quickly nicknamed the Empress of the Blues because no one seemed to have claimed this new genre of music with quite the same authority as Bessie. As luck would have it, Bessie got her start when she was discovered by another blues legend, Ma Rainey, with whom she traveled in a review during her early careers. Bessie's take no prisoners style was a hit wherever they went. And she soon landed a recording contract. Thus began the career of one of the most successful entertainers of the decade. Commanding the amazing sum of $1,500 per week. Bessie Smith became the highest paid black entertainer in the 1920s. Imagine, people think that that's kind of a lot now. And so imagine how much that was back in the 20s. Wow. $1,500 per week. One of the coolest things about Bessie and all of the other blues divas, Etta James, Ida Cox, Bertha Hill, to name a few of them, was their new defiant image of female beauty. A woman could be big and brassy, outspoken and brash, and use it all to get her man. These women created a culture that had no patience for skinny, demure girls who were too silly to speak their mind. Bessie Smith, y'all. Bessie Smith. So how many shall I read today? 2 or 4? I think maybe, let's see. There's a lot of women in this book. Calamity Jane. I don't know if you guys have heard of Calamity Jane. She was the rip-roaringest, gun-totingest, hard-ridingest gal to ever stampede the Wild West. Calamity Jane. She sounds interesting, doesn't she? Calamity Jane. Back when women were supposed to be home seeing the young uns, the kiddies, the babies, Calamity Jane came along and showed them all how a real cowgirl took charge. Calamity Jane was a real cowgirl. She might have dressed like a man, but Calamity was all woman and would shoot the hat off any man who said otherwise. So we're going to read about how Calamity Jane got her nickname. Well, first let me read, in the mid-1800s, when a woman's place was definitely in the home, Calamity Jane was out on the American frontier, hunting, riding, and living a life of high adventure. You know, I wonder if that would be me if I lived back in those days, because I love adventure. That probably would be me. Calamity Audrey. I'm just saying. In the down and dirty, untamed West, Calamity had no time for acting like a lady. She swore, she drank in saloons, she wore men's clothing, and she was a savvy gambler and an ace with a rifle. Ace with a rifle. And since Calamity was never shy about retelling the stories of her adventures, there are plenty of accounts of the books, of course. She was also known for stretching the truth for the sake of a good yarn. So not all of her reports can be taken at face value. But Calamity wasn't about to let a few nitpickers ruin a good story. So her autobiography, Calamity Jane, written by herself. Remember I told you guys a biography is when someone writes a book about someone. But an autobiography means you are writing it about yourself. So she wrote it about herself. It has been disputed by a few spoiled sports, but the fact is that even half of Calamity's claimed adventures would have qualified her as a bona fide legend. So we know at least half of her stories are true, right? So this is how Martha Calamity Jane Canary got her nickname. So one Captain Egan and his troops were being beaten steadily by a band of marauding Indians when Egan was wounded. Martha rode into the melee and, the way she tells it, got there in time to catch him as he was falling off his horse. She hoisted the captain onto her saddle and rode out unscathed. Martha saved Egan's life while the rest of the men perished. Upon recovering, the captain dubbed her Calamity Jane, heroine of the plains, presumably because of the way she faced calamity head on and always prevailed. That's how Calamity Jane got her name. Do I feel like reading some more? I feel like reading some more. We have Cleopatra. We have Nancy Drew. We have Evita. Evita. That sounds interesting. Yeah, I'll read Evita and then come back to Cleopatra. Annie Oakley. We've got, oh man, so many people in here. Jane Goodall. Martha Graham. Apache warriors. Lady Samurais. Rosie the Riveter. Remember Rosie? Rosie the Riveter. We got her in here too. We got Queens. We got Dorothy Parker. I don't know why that Evita is sticking with me right now to read. Evita. Maybe because it has something with Madonna. Shout out to Madonna. She played Evita in, I think it was either a play or a movie. Evita. She's the very familiar, beautiful woman in elaborate 1940s hairdos, hats, and jewelry. Idolized by millions and considered a saint by some. There are books, plays, and songs about her. Madonna played her in a movie, like I said. Madonna played her in a movie. So powerful is the glamorous image of her that it is sometimes forgotten that Evita Peron was about more than just being fabulous. Evita Peron. Look at her. So let's see. Let's read a little bit about Evita. Born Eva Maria Ibargurayan. Please forgive my pronunciation. She started out life in a small, poor Argentina town. That's where they got that song, "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina." I'm just saying. I love that song. One of 5 children of an impoverished single mother, maybe her hard childhood instilled in her the compassion for the poor, which was always at the heart of her political message. Certainly it made the perfect beginning for the story of Evita, the legend. So if you don't know about Evita, you're going to know now. You're going to find out about Evita. Listen. I'm just so excited to read this. In 1935, when Evita was only 15, she left home for Buenos Aires, escaping her small town with a tango singer who was performing there briefly. It didn't matter that she was not particularly talented. Her dogged pursuit of acting roles, together with her skill at making friends with the right people, made her a success, particularly in radio. On the radio, she created and perfected a public persona, even starring in a series, The Heroines of History. Evita would later use radio to advance her political career and to rally the masses behind the ideals of Peronism, the political ideology of her husband, Juan Perón. Okay, so an avid feminist, Evita formed the Association for Women's Suffrage and was ultimately responsible for Argentine women getting the vote in 1947. She wrote, "We are absent from the government. We are absent from parliaments. And yet we have always been present in the time of suffering and in all humanity's bitter hours." She has a big point. She has a big point there. Evita. So, it talks about her husband a little bit, but I'm going to skip that. I'll show you the page and maybe you can pause and read and pause and read. But I'm going to start reading from here where it talks about Evita. She married Perón 5 days before his election. As First Lady, she was a maverick and a contradiction. She continued to dress as a glamorous actress while she tirelessly worked on behalf of Argentina's poorest citizens, the descamisados, or shirtless ones. Evita rattled the establishment by appearing alongside her husband at presidential speeches, performing official and unofficial government work on her own, and wearing smashing, shoulder-bearing evening gowns to formal state functions. Tragically, Evita was struck down by cancer when she was only 33. Wow. Toward the end of her life, when her body was ravaged by disease, she continued to work obsessively. Her doctor quit in exasperation in 1950 after she rebuked him for telling her not to work so hard. Though she became increasingly ill, Evita worked exhausting days as First Lady. She sometimes received hundreds of visitors in a single day and personally answered tens of thousands of letters. Personally, she read them and answered them herself. A compassionate woman, a public relations genius, or both, Evita kept a pile of cash on her desk, which she would hand out to visitors. Wow. This lady here. Those who came included Argentina's most needy. Though these she received warmly, sometimes embracing and kissing them. By the time Evita died in 1952, she was a legend. Millions mourned her passing. Her husband, beginning his second term as president, determined that every Argentine who wanted to should be allowed to view her body. That goal proved impossible as lines stretched 30 blocks in every direction for days. So powerful was the persona Evita had created that even after her death, divided factions battled over her body. She was moved several times. An enormous crypt was constructed for her burial and then dynamited before she ever got there. Wow. In a bizarre twist, her body disappeared completely for almost 15 years. Somebody's body, their dead body, disappeared for 15 years, almost 15 years, eventually turning up in Italy under a false name. In 1976, Evita was finally returned to Argentina and properly buried. Wow, that was different. Evita worship. At one of Evita's speeches, the crowd was so enthusiastic that at least 7 people were crushed to death. Oh no. When Evita made an official visit to Spain, 3 million people greeted her. In Brazil, on the same trip, she was dubbed La Presidenta. La Presidenta, or Presidente. So dense and wild were the crowds gathered in the streets of Buenos Aires to mourn Evita's passing that 120,000 people were injured in a single day. Wow. This is Evita. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Wow. So we have so many more women that I can read about this week in this book, Cool Women. So thank you so much for being here and listening to me read fun, exciting, interesting, educational books like this. Cool Women. Yes, it is still National Women's Month. So we are going to enjoy this. Well, all right. Thank you, Mom, for always being here and showing all this love and support. Thanks, Mom. Thank you to Victoria and Ellie who share my videos all the time. And some of you other ones, thank you for sharing my videos. And thank you for clicking that like button and that share button. Thank you for going to YouTube, looking for Audrey's Reading Area and smashing the subscribe button for me. All right. I will see you tomorrow. Live, excuse me, live at 8. Live at 8. See you then here at Audrey's Reading Area.